come to the center or stay, you have had it. It may last a few hours, it may last 5 to 7 days, or it may last 2 months. One person here told me that she'd had this thing and it took 2 months to get over it. So it varies. But it's not anything uncommon, and it's not, the man said it was a benign affair, not to worry about it. Happens in November and December a lot, and then again in spring, for some people. So I hope this is enough clarification. This is day number 5 of the November 92 7-day retreat at Springwater. I was told most of you listen to talks during the week and are, if you're new to this place, are familiar with the format that I use, questions that people have brought up in private and group meetings, to go into them here together. And I wrote a few questions down this time that we may wonder about and enter into this morning. I don't remember these things that were said verbatim, obviously, and so please don't think that you have not been fully understood at the time. This is what the memory reproduced. One person said, as I'm sitting, I'm very sleepy at times, so sleepy that I feel I'm almost ready to topple over. And yet there's something that's alert to this state of being tired and almost toppling over. There is also an alertness active. And the person continued, I've recently been called to see my father who was dying. So I went, I hadn't seen him in a while. Actually, in the beginning, he had a lot of difficulty with his sickness. But when I came in and said something like, how are you, Dad? He just looked at me in a very amazing way. He didn't answer my question, but his eyes were alert. And even though he's in his 70s, his skin was glowing. He looked very much alive, a certain radiance. He looked like 40 years old. And now I'm wondering, says the man, is there a connection between this state of alertness, even though I'm so tired I could topple over, and this alertness, aliveness in my father's face, who'd actually died, I don't know whether it was a few days later, a few days or a week, I don't remember that. Is there any connection between these states? Can we put it this way? Tentatively, all expression is tentative because an expression can never capture the whole thing of what one may be trying to convey. It's possible for human beings like you and me, or the dying father, to come upon a state of being It's a tentative expression, a state of being. Which is awake, alert, alive, and not tied to our ordinary conditioned consciousness, conditioned through our background, our history, our training, our gender, all the experiences we've had, good and bad, our reactions and reflexes, all the conditioned psychological reflexes of defensiveness, aggressiveness, fear, wanting. Not connected. That state is not connected to that whole wall of, or network of reflexes, reactions, conditioned by in the past. And it lacks that, what's typical of that network, namely me in the center. My self-consciousness, and with that, the fear of my mortality, the fear of what's going to happen to me in the future based on what happened to me in the past. I'm just picking that as an example. It's not tied to that. That is sort of bypassed by this state of being which is openly aware and full of energy. Not necessarily the energy of raring to go, do something, or save the world, but an energy that is not divided, it's whole, unfragmented. Not me and you and my fate and my future, my fears and my worries. It's not tied to that. It's free of that. It's open, in touch with everything that's there, this pale wintry sunshine. All the people here, the bare trees outside with the filigrane of the bare branches against the bluish white hills. The breathing, heartbeat if it's there, it may be failing for someone who's dying, but it's not tied to fear about that heartbeat. And someone says, I've noticed, here I'm sitting dead tired, could fall over, but there's an awareness. Was there fear in that awareness of toppling over? Or resentment about being tired? Or the thought, I shouldn't be tired as a good meditator, I should be awake? It's all our conditioned thinking. How good we should be, how bad we are, how much better others are. It's all conditioned reflexive thinking, dating back not just to our childhood and adolescence, but to that of all those people who shaped us and who were shaped by their elders or peers. The man also asked, who brought this question up, when that state is there, in you and me, my father, is that the same state? Because it seemed so unique. My father seemed so unique, as the words he used. I remember Krishnamurti used to say, all right, I never quite had a feeling for using that word, but he used that word. He said, when the mind is free, not tied to, he didn't use those words, to the conditioned reflexes, then you are unique. We so much defend our uniqueness as conditioned individuals. I said, that's not uniqueness and that's not individuality. Because you're divided. It's me as compared to others. Fear about my death, my possible mortality, and so forth. But when the mind is open, free from its conditioned past, then you're unique. Something like that. Remember him writing or saying. Oh, I don't know how to use, what to make of that word. Because unique still sort of separates you out, doesn't it? You're unique, but the others aren't. And we all want to be unique, don't we? So it sets up wanting to be like that, an ambition maybe, to join the elite of the uniques. I would rather say, in that state, we're not separate from each other. It's not my freedom or my openness, my alertness or awareness. That thought is not there. It isn't tied to this self-center, which always brings itself in as a measuring stick. When that openness and freedom from all of our worries, which so have us caught up in our daily life most of the time. Worries or ambitions. When there's freedom from that in here and you and there and father and a friend, we're not separate. It's not mine versus yours. It doesn't belong to any, this open awareness or energy that is whole. It's not a possession. Therefore, it's no use trying to hold on to it and no use to defend it, to cling to it, or to be afraid of it. It has nothing to do with all of those motives, but it sheds light on them. If one begins to look in an open way at one's motives, desire to hold on or to become somebody, if one is tired right now, as some of us are, this moment I'm tired, next moment you're tired, if we're tired at this moment, can there be alertness without needing to do something about the tiredness, not fighting it, accepting it, just our conditioning, our training has been to whatever we discover inside, outside, in ourselves, other people, or in the world around us, to do something about it, to take a stand, to be in the know about it, or if not, then to find out about it, to become knowledgeable about it. How did I get there? What did I do if it's something pleasant? How can I avoid it or get rid of it if it's something unpleasant? That's our training, it's our reflex, like a knee-jerk. this is something so different, to be alert while being tired and not do anything about it. About either the alertness or the tiredness. Is it possible to come upon ourselves and each other in this open way? At times, for moments at a time. And realize we don't need to do anything. The being there, the openness of listening. Listening isn't doing, it's the action of openness is listening. And out of this openness of listening, a response may come. But then doesn't come out of the compulsion to do something. It presents itself and functions freely. It seems incredibly difficult for us to be in the presence of what is and allowing it to be that way. Aware of all the programs that come up to meddle and muddle. Aware of it. Aware of the urge to do something. And because there's awareness of it, it doesn't need to run its habitual course. That's the amazing thing about awareness. If something really comes into awareness, is seen, felt, heard, it doesn't have to run its habitual course. It abates. Not always. We're not saying it should abate, but it does very often. Maybe we'll leave that for the time being. If you have more questions about it or would like to go further into it, pick it up again freshly. We have meetings, group, individual. Here's another question. What is confidence? Like self-confidence. I seem to have so little of it while others seem to have much more. Is that owing to my background, to our different backgrounds? One person growing up in conditions that facilitated confidence in himself, herself. Someone else having a background in which that was not facilitated, on the contrary. Or never gained confidence in oneself, at least not to the extent that others seem to have it. Shall we look at this? What is confidence? We use these words very glibly, freely. She has a lot of confidence, he does, and you need to develop self-confidence. But what do we mean by it when we speak about self-confidence? Can we start from not knowing? So we are free to look. Not go by our ideas, not go up to the files to rummage what all comes up, what I have learned or remembered, what confidence is, but what is it? And look freshly. Is there some place where all of us can look where we do have some confidence, or at least we would be willing to put it this way? I have confidence in whatever, for each one. I have confidence in giving a talk. I don't put it this way, but I will for the time being. What do I mean by that? I mean, first of all, I don't have ideas coming up. I can't do it. When I mentioned that in our meeting with the person who brought it up, he said, well, wait a minute. All right. I have no doubt about delivering a talk, but what if I mentioned to you, my car is broken down, can you fix it? Well, I would say, no, I can't. Sorry. I don't have lack of confidence in fixing cars. I just don't fix them. And don't feel bad about not being able to do it. Don't feel, well, I should really. Modern women are able to do that, put the hood up and start tinkering. I don't feel bad at all about not being able to do it. Maybe I should. Are we already hitting on something? Why can't we be free and open about something that we don't feel like doing or don't think we can do without feeling bad about it? If somebody said, well, look, would you like to learn something about it? I'll show you how to fix something under the hood. Well, maybe I would say yes or no. But I could learn something about it, maybe. If I don't have the idea, I'm not gifted for this, or I'm not talented. If I have that idea that it needs a special ability, then I will block out any attempt to learn something about something. I won't look. I will stick with the idea I can't do it. That's what we do a lot, don't we? We have ideas of what we cannot do. Others can do it, but I can't. And because this idea is so strong, it's like a steel band in which one is wrapped. Then I don't move to find out. What do we do about these ideas? Because if we didn't have these ideas, which like children don't have ideas, yet little children, that they can't do something, they tinker with everything. Pound it and smell it, and break it, lick it. I have the idea I can't do that. And therefore they're investigating and experimenting. And later when you get grades for your papers or for your coloring in the kindergarten, or you get grades and you build up ideas of what you're good at and what you can't do and what you're lousy at. And then you go by those ideas. We do. How crazy. Because we change. Maybe one time we didn't do something well, but who knows what was all involved. We maybe have been dreaming about something else, not be absent-minded, or worried, hurt. Didn't mean we couldn't do it. We just weren't there to look, to find out, to enter into it. But the grade or the description by the teacher, the parent, the brother or sister sticks. And then we don't go any further. Is that why we have no confidence? Because of all the ideas of what we can't do? And the power of ideas is tremendous. And the power of the absence of ideas is also tremendous, because all of a sudden this steel-wrapped body comes alive to move, to look, listen, find out. So coming back to what does it mean to have confidence? We agreed in the meeting that being familiar with the situation, having gone through it before, having found out, yes, it works, there's a good likelihood it'll work again, is helpful. Never having done something like cooked a dinner, how will one know the rice won't burn? Of course, it also burns if one has cooked a dinner before. Then we say, oh, I was overconfident. I was so, again, wrapped up in the idea I can bring this all off without looking very much, and then the rice burns. So having some familiarity is very helpful. Having past records that it's worked. Don't have to worry about it. I can do it. But somehow there has to be a first time for anything we do. We don't come into being with full-fledged experiences of everything. We have to try and find out. Is that where the problem is between one person and the other? We touched upon it earlier. One tries it out because doesn't have ideas. He's no good at it, or she can't do it. And the other one doesn't have these ideas, and therefore still this inborn curiosity, or at least a willingness to try. Are our ideas the biggest handicap? Our ideas about ourselves? In the meeting it was mentioned, my background was such that I could never build up confidence. Which means my background was such that I built up lots of ideas about not being able to do things. Through what people told me, through situations, opportunities weren't offered to me, whatever. But this is a new moment. In spite of all my past background, I don't have to continue with ideas about myself, do I? Good or bad? That I'm terrific about something or that I'm no good at something. Why can't I start once in a while from not knowing whether I can do it or not? And watch the Niagara of ideas streaming in. You'll blow it, you won't be as good, and you'll get criticized, rejected. These are ideas, but why should we believe them? Why do we believe these ideas? We do because we think they are true. They tell us the truth, but they don't. We have to make a fresh start to find out how we work. See something, listen to something, find out something, make mistakes. Is there the energy to do that? Does it take energy? Not to be snowed by all the ideas about ourselves? So that all the energies in the ideas and our reaction and our paralysis. Paralysis is also bound up energy, tied up energy. we can take a chance and find out. It's possible. Taking a chance right now. I don't know whether this one person told me she had this thing for 2 months. Maybe I'll topple over. Of course, that wouldn't be so good, because then ideas would come up and people think, oh, she didn't tell us the whole thing, or maybe she's dying anyways. But I can't tell whether it'll work until I try it out. Can I? Can you? Can we? So, will the energy remain tied in the ideas and the precautions? I can't do it. It won't, our pessimistic mindset, or will there be some, I don't know, where does it come from? Starting from not knowing and interested in finding out. Does that take confidence? I don't know whether it does or not, because you don't know how it's going to work out. Or does it take, we'll meet whatever comes up. The toppling over, the mistake, the being criticized. We'll meet that when it happens. Can we proceed this way? Full of ideas that I can't do it, that I'm no good, have never been any good, that others are better. This is where I start out from, but I don't believe it. I know these are conditioned ideas. Whether they are true or not, who knows? No, it's clear. Ideas aren't true. They're just ideas. But will I find out what is true this moment? Without knowing? And walk, or whatever needs to be done. Try it. And the consequences, I'll meet them. I don't know how. Maybe in a messy way. Maybe not very satisfactory. I don't know. But I'll meet them. Are we together on this? You could say, yes, but. The but is more ideas coming in just like out of sort of an ice maker machine. They pop out all the time. And this, I think, is maybe one of the arts of living, not to put too much confidence in these ideas about ourselves. Also not to think if I only had better ideas about myself, I could proceed in a more confident way. I don't want any ideas about myself. They just cloud vision. They soak up energy. Which means, can these ideas be discovered as they pop and looked at, taken notice of, but not believed in, or disbelieved? Just let them pop. They'll melt. I don't want to deny the fact how helpful it is to be familiar with something. Familiar, we were talking about it, not in a mechanical way, but in an open way. Everything is it's not hostile. The situation is benign because it's familiar. Well, what about stepping into a hostile situation? You know, people may be hostile toward you as you come into a meeting. Yeah, what about that? You could say, well, I'm familiar with hostility. I've lived through it before. I don't have to react to it. I don't have to become paranoid about it. Again, more ideas popping. What they're doing to me. I'll just, always, every moment that I become aware of it, I'll start freshly to listen to what the people are saying. I won't even say they're hostile. I don't know. Maybe I'm distorting it. My past experiences are distorting this. I want to start fresh. Can we do that? Can I do that? Maybe in starting fresh and listening in a sort of innocent way, I caught myself last moment, I was paranoid, but I saw it, so I let that go. I don't have to continue with that. I'll listen freshly again. Maybe we have impact upon each other with that. Maybe it has a diffusing effect. I don't know. It may. The presence of an innocent listener may be contagious. Maybe not. I don't do it in order to become contagious and get people on my side, be doing good things for the world. I just see as no other way of stepping into what I think a hostile situation. No other way but to come into innocence about it. Or else I'm lost in my remembrances and prepared reactions, and they are the reactions of all society. It's not easy. Somebody may be angry at me. And the anger, somebody looking or sounding angry, raising the voice, already triggers stuff in this wired, programmed body, mind. Defensive or aggressive, hurt, is all there to jump into reaction. I'm familiar with that. I know that this is possible. I know that this happens. Maybe it's happened every time, but I don't know whether it's happening this time. And whether it has to come to a full-fledged anger or hurt scene. I don't know. I'll find out. Like the triggered responses to somebody's anger can be watched spaciously. Just a little space. It's so hard sometimes when you're here and things are very spacious, then to think of a situation in which there may be very little space. It's very hard, and that's why sometimes things are said that don't pan out. In the narrow space of facing somebody who's angry or hurtful, critical, hostile. But if spaciousness is possible at all, at any time, at one time it should be possible at any time. No? Find out. Find out the next time somebody seems so angry, so aggressive, or hurtful, or put-downy. Can one listen to what it does and not be totally victimized by it? Start fresh, start fresh, start fresh. Because every moment is fresh. It is. we will end here for today.